From The Selfish Path to Romance, download Chapter 1 for free at drkenner.com.
It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Ed Locke. Dr. Locke is an internationally known business scholar. He's written several books. He's given talks on stress management and setting goals for your life and happiness, such as friendship. How do you set goals in friendship and hobbies and really loving your life? And today we're going to talk about understanding your partner, your romantic partner. Welcome aboard, Dr. Locke.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
When people get into a romantic relationship, Dr. Locke, what they usually want most of all is to be understood. They might have come from families where mom never understood them or dad never understood them or their siblings always misperceived them and cast them in rotten roles. And the last thing they want from a partner is to be cast in the role of the nag or the role of the abandoning person. What is it that partners can do to understand each other better?
Let me introduce this by sort of three views of love and lead in from mine. The one view is that love is basically sacrifice, which is giving up values, which I am totally disagreeing with. The second view is love is narcissism, is grabbing what you want to feed your insecurities, which I also totally disagree with. And the third is egoistic love, which is passionately valuing another person because they're important to your life. And I endorse the third view that egoistic love is love because the person is important to you, something the narcissist is actually incapable of because they can't view others as important. So if someone's important to you, the first thing you want to do to make the relationship work out is to understand the person and especially that person's values. Find out what
do you mean by values? Because most people think of values as Judeo-Christian values.
I don't mean just their conscious philosophy, but what's important to them in life. For example, what hobbies do they love?
Okay, for me it would be dance. So I would want my partner...
Flying, dance, golf, hiking, music, painting, fixing things around the house. What type of art do they like? Do they like movies, plays, television? What kind of movies? Does the guy like Arnold Schwarzenegger action movies? Does the woman like Steel Magnolias? Or do they like none of the above? What kind of vacations are their favorite? Do they like resort vacations? Do they like hard physical work vacations?
Right, outward bound.
They like, outward bound. Do they like museum vacations, going to Europe? What kind of restaurants do they like? Do they like the ambiance, the food, indoors, outdoors, Italian, French? What kind of clothing do they like? Color, style.
So this is very different from Judeo-Christian values. This is what are the goodies in life that you treasure, your hobbies, your interests.
Sure. You need to understand their basic philosophy, and that's partly what attracts you. But given that, everyday life is lots of value choices. What kind of decoration do they like? What's a romantic evening by their definition? Do they like candlelit dinners, picnics? Do they like getaways? Very important. Do they like surprises, or do they like the thrill of planning ideas together, or do they rather have somebody totally surprise them? Some people hate surprises. Some people really like them. What kind of surprises do they like?
So Dr. Locke, if I'm in a relationship with somebody, if I'm the husband and I say, listen, I like vacations to the Caribbean.
Right.
Say the wife doesn't. She can't stand it. She did that her whole childhood. She wants she wants museums. She wants something a little more sparkling than just sitting on a beach. And he says, well, listen, I'm the main money earner here. We are definitely going on a vacation to the Caribbean. And I've ordered some new furniture for the house. And he didn't consult the wife at all.
All right. Well, this kind of example is not a partnership. It's not a dictatorship because that's a political term, but it's a male-dominated, and the happiest marriages are really marriages where the parties are equal. So let's take the man and the vacations. He loves resorts. She loves going to Paris and going to the Louvre. Well, compromises in this kind of thing are perfectly fine. It's not a moral issue. So it would be easy to set up a vacation where let's go to Paris for a week. and then let's end up in the Caribbean. That's one of many ways you could please both parties. And certainly he shouldn't buy furniture without consulting her. If he loves her, her values are important to him, and vice versa.
Right, so she shouldn't do the same to him. She shouldn't run roughshod over his values.
There's an example from Dr. whom I mostly disagree with, and this man bought a dog, and his wife absolutely didn't want a dog. And Dr. says, "What's the matter with you? You're trying to take away the guy's pleasure?" So she's supposed to sacrifice, but that's not love, in my mind. A joint decision would be they talk about this together and come to an agreement. If he loves her, he doesn't do things like that.
Right. Unless
that's narcissistic.
Yeah, it's like the world's my way, and you're my wife.
I'm not married. You're just my slave.
Right, you're my slave, and it does become, as you said, it's a political term, but it becomes like a mini dictatorship.
Yeah, and so other things you can see. What kind of foods do they like? Do they like flowers? What kind of small things do they love? Placemats, napkins, soap, scents. What kind of books do they like? Do they like poetry? Another very important is to understand their psychology. Are you attuned to their moods? Can you read their moods? Do you know what affects their moods, either for the better or for worse? Do they have sensitive areas? For instance, maybe a particular woman might be upset by a frown because she had an abusive ex-husband, so is very sensitive. So you'd have to be aware of that and be very careful.
So instead of saying, "Oh, can't you get over that?"
Right,
I'm not him.
You say, "I'm sorry if I upset you. Here's what I intended." You have to know how they experience your actions. For example, men, when they get sick, certainly true of me, are in a very bad mood and tend to withdraw. Mm-hmm. And women see that as a rejection. So the guy has to say, when I'm sick, I don't love you any less, but I'm in a bad mood, so don't take it personally. That kind of thing. So say, and I know you'll feel that I am rejecting you, but I'm really not. So they have to talk about that.
So the channels of communication have to be open. And I know we're down to the last minute. Right. One of the mistakes that people make are saying, "Well, if you loved me, you should know what I want." Mind reading.
Well, mind reading is a very bad thing. Maybe when you've been married 20 years, you can do that. But at first, you have to make yourself clear, and you have to find out. For instance, do they want understanding when you come home from work? Do they want understanding? Do they want sympathy? Do they want advice?
Or quiet.
And which do they want? And you have to ask by asking them. And then once you know that, of course, you'll know what to do the next time.
Right. So we've been talking about how to communicate well, or actually how to understand your partner, how to value what they value, and it's mutual.
Understand what they value, even if you don't.
Even if you don't value it, you understand them, they understand you, and you have a much freer flowing, or much better chance of a good romantic relationship. This is Dr. Ellen Kenner, and I want to thank you, Dr. Locke, for joining us today.
Thank you.
And Dr. Locke is my co-author in a book on romance, From Soup to Nuts: How to Meet Someone, How to Make Yourself Lovable, How to Preserve and Strengthen a Romantic Relationship, How to Part Ways if things aren't working out. I'm Dr. Ellen Kenner. Next week, tune in next week, because we'll be talking with a trauma expert. If you've been through a layoff, or if you've had some crisis in your life, which almost all of us have had, whether it's something that's natural, like a tornado or a hurricane or a flood, or whether it's man-made, an accident, or somebody robs you, how do you deal with those type of disasters or traumas? And we will be talking with Dr. James Campbell, who works with the American Red Cross Disaster Response Network. I'm Dr. Ellen Kenner. It's great being with you on the Rational Basis of Happiness.
Here's my number, so call me maybe. Hey, I just met you, and this is crazy. But here's my number, so call me maybe.
Here's an excerpt from The Selfish Path to Romance, the Serious Romance Guidebook by clinical psychologist Dr. Ellen Kenner and co-author Dr. Edwin Locke.
Your first reactions to a potential romantic partner need to be accompanied by careful introspection, because you may value certain attributes of the person and dislike others, or because the person may act inconsistently. You'll want to resolve any contradictory impressions you have and tie all your knowledge together to get a concise, clear picture of their character and personality. Conflicts may also arise within your own psychology, such as indecision
about whether you're ready for commitment or concerned that this partner may discover your insecurities. Don't wait. Take the time to explore and resolve such personal confusions.
You can download Chapter 1 for free by going to drkenner.com. And you can buy The Selfish Path to Romance at Amazon.com.